بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our study of Kitab al-Sabr wa Shukr from Al-Mahjjah al-Baydaa, volume 7, page 208. As you remember, we were talking about different aspects of the blessing of food. We said one of the 16 branches of ni'mah is what we need from dunya, and it includes food. And just about food, we have been talking about different aspects. Now is the fourth aspect of just food. And this is about those things from which we can make food. We already talked about this. We go to fifth one, page 208, about the way we receive the food. That one we talked about it, about the things that we can use for food, as we said, it's medicine or it is fruits or it is food. Yes, we talked about it. So the fifth, في نعمة الله تعالى في الأسباب الموصلة للأطعمة إليه. The blessing of Allah in those links, those things that help to get the food, how food comes to us. Okay, this is about how food comes to us. He says food is not always available next to us. It's not that you just, for example, stretch your hand and you take what you like. Food is distributed all over the world. Something we need here is not available here. We have to import, we have to do trades and lots of things. He says, اعلم أن هذه الأطعمة كلها لا توجد في كل مكان. These foods that we need, it's not that all of them exist everywhere. بل لها شروط مخصوصة. These foods need certain conditions. Therefore, they cannot grow and be produced everywhere. They have certain conditions. توجد في بعض الأماكن. These conditions exist in some places, دون بعض, not in other places. Okay, for example, if you want rice, you cannot have rice everywhere. It must be where there's lots of rain. Yeah? If you want, for example, tea, it has to be in a certain place. وَالنَّاسُ مُنْتَشِرُونَ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْأَرْضِ. And people are scattered all over the world. Okay? So people are scattered, food is also scattered. وَتَحُولُ بَيْنَهُمْ وَبَيْنَهَا الْبِحَارُ وَالْبَرَارِ. And our places and the places where foods are sometimes distance from each other, and between us are oceans and seas and deserts. So not only it's scattered all over the world, but also it's not just a pleasant and accessible road. Sometimes you have to go through oceans. If you want to import something, for example, from Canada here, or from, I don't know, India or whatever. Sometimes there are deserts. Now, he tries to explain very beautifully the wisdom that Allah has exercised in making a system that everything works together so that me and you can get every type of food that we need. فانظر كيف سخر الله تعالى التجار. For example, Allah has managed to inspire some people to do trades. Yes? Somehow Allah has pushed them, sakhara, so He has pushed them to do trades. Trade is not something easy. Yes? You have to travel, you have to go through lots of difficulties. Sometimes there are thieves, sometimes there are, I don't know, problems in the sea. Lots of problems can happen. Sometimes your money can be confiscated. وَسَلَّطَ عَلَيْهِمْ. I apologize, tradespeople. This is what he is saying. He says, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala سَلَّطَ عَلَيْهِمْ حِرْصَ حُبِّ الْمَالِ وَشَرَهَ الرِّبْحِ. Also these tujar, Allah has put in them love for money and great interest in making lots of profits. If they were zahid, we would be all maybe dying. Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, even for example, you see in places which are very difficult, war zones, still these people, you know, do trade. They use tunnels, I don't know, they use mountains, you know. Nothing can stop them. Of course, some of them do it for the sake of serving people, but many times it's because they want to make money. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if they didn't have this interest in making money, then it would be difficult. مَا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يُغْنِيهِمْ شَيْءٌ فِي قَالِبِ الْأَمْرِ. And he says, in many cases, it's not that they become rich by this. It's not that they meet their needs and then they make lots of money on top of that for themselves. Either their money is, extra money is lost, or the maximum is that it remains for their heirs, you know, to inherit. So it's not that they take this all money with themselves, for example, and use it in akhirah or in dunya. بَلْ يَجْمَعُونَ. They collect money, but إِمَّا أَنْ تَغْرَقَ بِهِمُ السُّفُنُ. Sometimes their ships sink and they are also drowned. أو تنهبها قطاع الطريق, or thieves rob them. أو يموتون في بعض البلاد فيأخذها السلاطين, or when they are away they die, then the kings or governments of those places confiscate their money. وَأَحْسَنُ أَحْوَالِهِمْ. And in the best scenario, what happens? أَنْ يَأْخُذَهَا وَرَثَتُهُمْ. If no thief happens, no robbery, no death, no attack, nothing, in the best scenario is they leave it for their children or other people, you know, who are related to them to inherit. وَهُمْ أَشَدُّ أَعْدَائِهِمْ لَوْ عَرَفُوا. He says, if they know, these are the worst enemies. In what sense? Not that children are bad, but if you forget Allah and collect money for your children or family, this is the problem. Yeah, إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة. This is a test for you. If you look after your family because of your love for the sake of Allah, you love them, that's very good. But if you just work for your family and sometimes even haram, no, you don't bother about haram or anything, just you want to collect money for yourself and leave for family, that's the problem. Okay? So it's not that family is an enemy, but means for these people who just do things in order to collect money for themselves and leave for family. Okay, it's clear? فانظر كيف سلط الله الجهل والقفلة عليهم حتى يقاس الشدائد في طلب الربح ويركب الأخطار ويغرروا بالأرواح في ركوب البحار فيحملون الأطعمة وأنواع الحوائج من أقصى الشرق والغرب إليك. Look carefully how Allah has motivated them to go through difficulties, take risks, endanger themselves so that they bring food that you need from east and west to you. On top of that, not only Allah has given them this kind of motivation, وانظر كيف علمهم الله صناعة السفن. Allah has also taught them how to make ship and boats to carry goods. وكيفية الركوب فيها, how they can then travel and transport goods, with these things. On top of that, وانظر كيف خلق الحيوانات وسخرها للحمل والركوب. Also Allah created animals like horse, like camels, like donkeys, so that they can also help in carrying goods or carrying passengers. وانظر إلى الإبل كيف خلقت. Look at camel, how it is created. وإلى الخيل كيف أُيِّدت بسرعة الحركة. Horse is made in the way that can help you to run fast. Camel is made in the way that you can go slowly but for long distances without water. Yeah. وإلى الحمار كيف جعل صبورا على التعب. Donkeys are made very patient. They are very patient and tolerate tiredness. وإلى الجمال كيف تقطع البراري. Camels, they go to deserts. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made these facilities for transportation for us. And then he says, in addition to this, if you think now about how each of these animals are provided with what they need. Yeah? So we are talking about food, but food needs lots of things, and each of them need lots of other things. Yeah? So we just say, okay, for transportation of food, we need animals. But then how those animals are created, what do they need to exist? So many blessings are there to make the system work. So Allah has created everything إلى حد الحاجة وفوق الحاجة, to the extent that we need and even more than what we need. وإحصاء ذلك غير ممكن. It's impossible to exhaust all these things. So this was one dimension. The way we receive, transport, carry food. The sixth dimension, في إصلاح الأطعمة, how we prepare food. Okay, how we process and prepare food. He says, اعلم أن الذي ينبت في الأرض من النبات وما يخلق من الحيوانات لا يمكن أن يقضم ويؤكل وهو كذلك. Normally, most of the time, the food, not fruits, but the food normally, and also the animals which we grow, normally we cannot eat them as they are. They need processing. Yeah, you cannot eat, for example, wheat or barley as they are. You cannot eat rice as it is. Okay, you cannot eat cow as it is. So they need islah, they need preparation. لا بد في كل واحد من إصلاح بطبخ. Sometimes islah is by cooking them. Sometimes tarkib, by mixing them. Some types of food you have to mix. Sometimes you have to clean. Sometimes you have to peel. Sometimes you have to put into water for some time and remove bitterness. So many things have to be done in order we can benefit from them. He says, for example, just as an example, if we have a loaf of bread, how much work is needed in order to get this bread at home? He says, just we give you one example. We don't talk about rice, we don't talk about tea, we don't talk about meat, we don't talk about milk, just bread. أول ما يحتاج إليه الحراس. First we need farmers, so that they make the land ready for farming. Then we need cow or something. Now we make a machine, but we need something anyway to prepare the land for planting and sowing the seeds. We need equipment. Then we need water. Then when it starts growing, we need to remove unwanted plants. Sometimes there are like grass or the other things that grow. We have to remove them. Then we have to harvest. Then we have to dry them. Then we have to remove the peel. Then we have to take them to barn. Then we have to take them to the mill. Then it becomes flour. Then we have to make paste. Then we have to have oven and bake it in the oven. So till a piece of bread reaches you, many people and many instruments have to work so that you have a piece of bread. فَتَأَمَّلْ عَدَدَ هَذِهِ الْأَفْعَالِ. Reflect on the number of actions that we have mentioned. And what we have not mentioned. There are many things that we didn't mention. وَعَدَدَ الْأَشْخَاصِ الْقَائِمِينَ بِهَا. And so many people who are involved in this. وَعَدَدَ الْآلَاتِ. How many equipments we need for preparing this land, to plant, to give water, to harvest, meal, all these things. And then he says, for example, you need iron to cut. How this iron then is produced? We need first mountains where, for example, we can have the stone in which there is iron. Then we have to take them to some places to melt them, bring out iron. Then we make it, for example, sharp. It's very difficult. So he says, if you investigate, enfatashta, taftish means investigate. If you investigate, علمت أن رغيفا واحدا لا يستدير بحيث يصلح لأكلك يا مسكين ما لم يعمل إليه أكثر من 1000 صانع. He says, if you really think a piece of bread would not come to you unless more than 1,000 people have worked somehow so that this comes to you. There's whole industry behind it, whole farming behind it, trades and business, markets, and then people who regulate these, police, army, security, tax, all have to work so that we can get a piece of bread. And in addition to this, you have to add also angels. And then there is a discussion about angels, because we have angels who are responsible for activities on the earth, and angels responsible for heavens. So there are different types of angels, and they are also needed for managing this world. Al-Mudabbirat Amra. Then he says, just if you consider a, for example, needle, Ebra, yeah? This little piece of needle, how difficult it is to make it. And how God inspired them that if they take, for example, a stone and melt it, then they can, have iron, then they can, cast shape of, needle and then make it. It's very complicated. Or about scissors. Allah inspired them to make scissors in this way that can cut. And then some of us learned from others. If, we were not learning from each other, we were still like animals. Animals don't improve. And even if by chance or accident one animal comes to know something, this is not communicated to others, and others don't learn. But we learn from each other. Then he says, فَسُبْحَانَ مَنْ سَخَّرَ بَعْضَ الْعِبَادِ لِبَعْضٍ حَتَّى نَفَذَتْ بِهِ مَشِيَّتُهُ وَتَمَّتْ بِهِ كَلِمَتُهُ وَثَبَتَتْ بِهِ حِكْمَتُهُ. May God be glorified how He makes some people manage others and then make a system that they all work so that His plan is implemented and His wisdom is established. The next dimension is about Islah al-Muslihin. We said in order to benefit from this food, we need to process and prepare food. Now, those who process and prepare food directly or indirectly, they themselves need other people to supervise them, to push them, to correct them, to teach them, to regulate them. Islah al-Muslihin. Okay? Islah doesn't mean reform, it's to advise, to train. He says, اعلم أن هؤلاء الصناع المصلحين للأطعمة وغيرها. These people who make food and instruments that we need, لو تفرقت آراؤهم وتنافرت طباعهم تنافر طباع الوحوش لتبددوا وتباعدوا. If these people were not happy to live together and form society, and they were trying to run away from each other like animals, then we could not survive. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them understand that they need to live together, so that then they can divide tasks. Yeah? Otherwise, people were still, living 2-3 people here, 2-3 people there, 2-3 people there. No society, no civilization. لَتَبَدَّدُوا وَتَبَاعَدُوا وَلَمْ يَنْتَفِعْ بَعْضُهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ. They were scattered, lived away from each other, didn't benefit from each other. بَلْ كَانُوا كَالْوُحُوشِ. They would be like wild animals, that they cannot live together. لا يحويهم مكان واحد ولا يجمعهم غرض واحد. And no common purpose can bring them together. فانظر كيف ألف الله بين قلوبهم وسلط الأنس والمحبة عليهم. How Allah has brought their hearts together, so that at least physically they live together. Yeah? You feel better if you live among other people, even if you don't know them. Because in the long term, it's better for us to be like this. فَلَأَجْلِ الْأُلْفَةِ وَتَعَارُفِ الْأَرْوَاحِ اجْتَمَعُوا وَأْتَلَفُوا وَبَنَوُا الْمُدُنَ وَالْبِلَادِ. Because Allah has put this desire in us to be together with other people, then we got together, we made cities, we made countries. وَرَتَّبُوا الْمَسَاكِنِ. Then they made their houses close to each other. وَرَتَّبُوا الْأَسْوَاقِ. Then they made markets, shops, bazaars, shopping centers. And this love, which is for living together, is also something that is very important to organize social life. And because also they have some kind of love and desire to excel, to be better than others in competition, then they try to do better. This desire to work harder so that you get, for example, more money or get better power or whatever, it's important for running these societies. It's not that everyone is driven by moral values and pleasure of Allah. Yes? So what we need, it's a very important point. What we need is first to make sure that we have these cities and towns and people live together, even if it is for dunya. When for the sake of dunya they come together, then we have something to work on their morality and spirituality. But if people were living away from each other, we couldn't make any religious community. And even we were not able to make the message available to them. So, one of the things that happens is then that some people, because they want to have more power and they want to compete, whatever, they become kings. They become ministers. They become leaders of the tribes. And he says, فَانْظُرْ كَيْفَ صَلَّتَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ السَّلَاطِينَ. Allah has given power. This doesn't mean legitimacy. Please don't get it wrong. This doesn't mean that something is legitimate or something is advisable. But this is just natural. Which, as I said, it is in the general plan, it is good. We don't approve and endorse what these people do, but as I said, it's important to get people together. And having even an unjust ruler is better than anarchy. Imam Raza alayhi salam said, "La budda lin-nas min imamin, barran kana aw fajira." People should have a leader. Whether it's pious or sinful, it's better than having no system, disorder, anarchy. In anarchy, people start just maybe killing each other, destroying each other. If we have a system, if we have order, then we can talk about you should be pious, you should be moral. But if people are killing each other, it's very difficult to talk about these issues. There are a few countries that you can go and try. If you don't believe what I say. Okay. So, these kings, God helped them with quwwah, power, uddah. They have human resources, manpower, asbab, equipments. وَأَلْغَى رُعْبَهُمْ فِي قُلُوبِ الرَّعَايَةِ. And then people fear them, they listen to them. In the long term, it's good because it keeps them away from rebelling. Okay? Nowadays, we only think about democracy. Democracy is very important, but more important than democracy is to have order. Yes? If there's anarchy, there's a chaos, what is democracy? Democracy is a kind of building that needs foundation. Democracy has to be built on order. Yes? If there is no law and order, you cannot build democracy. They try to make it in some places. They remove the existing order, and without establishing order, they wanted to put democracy. It collapsed. It needs order. Okay? Yes. So, ألغى رعبهم في قلوب الرعايا حتى رتبوا أجزاء البلد كأنها أجزاء شخص واحد. Because they fear, then they accept to be put as a one human body, that we have different organs in the country. We have, police, we have army, we have teachers, we have doctors, we have cleaners, we have all different types of people that listen to order. Then he says, فَرَتَّبُوا الرُّؤَسَاء وَالْقُضَاةِ وَالشَّحْنِ وَزُعَمَاءَ الْأَسْوَاقِ. Then they put them in order. Some became managers, leaders, judges, police, people who run bazaar, market, economics, all different types of people. وَاسْتَرُّوا الْخَلْقَ إِلَى قَانُونِ الْعَادِلِ. And they also asked people to be just. Yes? Normally kings ask people to be just, even if they are not themselves just, but they ask people, for example, don't attack someone else, don't rob each other, don't kill each other. So they put some kind of justice there. وَأَلْزَمُوهُمْ التَّسَاعُدَ وَالتَّعَاوُنَ. And they said you should help each other. حَتَّى صَارَ الْحَدَّادِ يَنْتَفِعُ بِالْقَصَّابِ وَالْخَبَّاسِ. The one who is, for example, making equipments with iron is benefiting from butcher, from bakery. They benefit from each other. Then God sent prophets. فانظر كيف بعث الأنبياء حتى أصلحوا السلاطين. So kings were putting order and asking people to do good things. But then the kings themselves needed guidance. Allah sent prophets to guide the kings. حتى أصلحوا السلاطين المصلحين للرعايا. These salatin who were themselves running the affairs of people are now educated by the kings and by the prophets. And the prophets taught them قوانين الشرع في حفظ العدل بين الخلق. They told them that you have to observe these rulings of Sharia so that justice is observed among people. And then the prophets themselves were supported by angels. So we have a system that on top of the kings are prophets, and on top of the prophets are angels, and on top of angels is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all work together. And then he also says that after a few lines, that between Salatin and Anbiya, we have also ulama. Because ulama warathatul Anbiya. So after a few lines, he says, Al-Anbiya yuslihuna al-ulama alladhina hum warathatuhum wal malaika yuslihuna al-Anbiya. So we have Allah, we have angels, we have prophets, we have ulama, then we have students who do mubahasa, and this comes down. This is a new edition of the book. So he says, if we want to put all these things together, we cannot. أَن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. So you see, just food itself, if you think carefully, there's a whole system behind it. Then, after that, he talks about angels. And this is where we don't know much. Other things we know, but we don't think about them. But here we don't know that much. الطرف الثامن في بيان نعمة الله في خلق الملائكة. Blessing of Allah in creating angels. ليس بخفي عليك ما سبق من نعمة الله في الملائكة بإصلاح الأنبياء وهدايتهم وتبليغ الوحي إليهم. He says, it's not hidden from you. The blessings that Allah has for humanity through angels by helping prophets, supporting prophets with the angels. This much is not hidden from you. You know the angels are involved in bringing revelation, in supporting prophets. You know these things. Islah al-Anbiya, to prepare the prophets, wa hidayatihim, guide them, wa tabligh al-wahyi ilayhim, and convey revelation to them. But لا تظنن أنهم مقتصرون في أفعالهم على ذلك القدر. Don't think this is the only thing that the angels do. Don't think angels only function between God and the prophets. It's not the only level of their function. بل طبقات الملائكة مع كثرتها وترتيب مراتبها تنحصر بالجملة في ثلاث طبقات. There are many different types of angels that function in different levels, at least we can mention 3 levels. Al-Malaikatul Ardiyah, those angels who live among us in this planet. They have tasks here. Even every person is benefiting from lots of work that angels are doing. Was-Samawiyah, and those which are in heaven, in higher realms of realities. And also then Hamalatul Arsh, those angels who carry the Arsh, divine throne, they are highest level, because Arsh is the closest thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشَ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ. Then he has a detailed discussion about angels. This by itself needs lots of discussion. We can talk about angels based on hadith, and we can talk about angels based on philosophy, and there would be a big kind of distance. That much that philosophically we can understand is very limited. That much that we find in Quran, and especially more details in Hadith, is much more than what we can understand philosophically. And here then we have different interpretations. Are angels that are mentioned in Hadith, all of them angels in the sense that philosophically we say, they are mujarrad, they are abstract beings, or angels can refer to some factors that are part of the mechanism of this world. For example, Ghazali says, in our body we have lots of work that are done by angels. For example, how food should be taken from blood for our cells, how they should be put into, for example, muscles, to what extent this muscle should grow. It shouldn't grow too much, too little. Or for example, when your bone is broken, when your bone is broken and it's fixing itself, it's repairing, it's very important that it would not create lots of extra bone and would not be also thinner than other places. It has to build and then polish itself and be very smooth. So Ghazali says these are done by angels. I am not myself sure whether we can say these are angels in the sense that we use in the Quran, the sense, angel. Maybe these are hidden sources of power and function that in some hadiths they are introduced as angels. The same about shayateen. Satans, sometimes some things are attributed in hadith to Satans that maybe today you call it microbe or germ. Yeah? Because these were hidden sources of illness. So Iblis is a hidden source of misguidance. And then we have lots of other hidden sources of moral problems and physical problems. Sometimes maybe they are all called shaitan. So this needs a great deal of research, that someone investigates all of them and see how much we can verify through the Quran, through philosophy, through science, and then come up with a very detailed Islamic understanding of angels and Satans. But as much as we can understand from the Quran, which is the most accurate source for us, certainly angels are not only for revelation or taking, for example, the souls of the people who die. Yeah, we have angels who are responsible for revelation. We have angels who carry arsh. We have angels who come for taking away the soul. الذي توفته رسلنا الذين تتوفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم. But also we have angels that have some role in this world. المدبرات أمرا. But to what detail these angels are involved, this needs research. I shared with you my humble information, but I am really, really very ignorant about this issue because it's very complicated. I cannot say, what I said, positively. But it seems to me that might not be wrong to suggest that some usage of angels in the hadith might be not in the way that philosophers refer to angels. Can be hidden positive sources of power. Hidden positive factors. Okay? The same with shaitan. I mean, Iblis is obvious shaitan, but then we can have hidden sources and factors of mischief that can be sometimes like microbes and germs, not necessarily kind of being which is jinn like Iblis. For sure, Iblis is utilizing any source and power of moral or natural mischief. Shaitan will use it. On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then Jibreel and his malaikatul muqarrabeen, they have also a hierarchy. Part of it are mujarrad, part of it can be worldly, can be physical, can be material, but they are in the hierarchy of positive factors in the world. This is my humble understanding. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, inshallah we continue this discussion next week. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our mind and heart to see and acknowledge all the great work that He has done to prepare this world for us and to be grateful to all His blessings, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.